It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Hello, I'm Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist and owner of Lukenosis Hypnosis. And tonight's Facebook Live is all about addiction. And it's entitled, was it a relapse or was it just a lapse? We're going to get into that in a few moments from now. I'm just waiting for some people to join. If you are joining, give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, or my personal favourite, give me a heart to let me know you're out there. If you have any questions about addiction tonight, then please do put it in the comment section below and I will endeavour to answer those questions live. If you're watching this after the fact, again, still leave your comments below and I will endeavour to answer them. Yes, I realise that my hair looks like a peacock tonight. It's the best I could do without a barber. So, someone's just joined us. I'm not sure who you are, so say hi. Give me a wave. Give me a thumbs up. That was for the wave. Or give me the heart if you're joining us. So this page and more of my work in hypnosis. Hey Deb, how are you? And give you that heart right back at you. More and more of my work is going to be focused towards addictions of many kinds, whether that be alcohol, whether that be heroin. Hello, Michael. Hey Deb, whether that be sugar, whether that be nicotine, whether that be crystal meth, whether that be opiates, whether that be a digital addiction, whether that be a porn addiction, whatever it may be. Not all addictions are created the same. Some will rob us a lot quicker and a lot more drastically of our life, of our energy, of the good things from our life. So I believe that everyone has an addiction, and the way that I look at addictions is it's just a behaviour that's got out of control. However, they're not all created the same. So oftentimes I will get clients that will come to see me quite a lot now. It's actually the number one reason people come to see me nowadays is for some kind of addiction. Oftentimes it's alcohol, a lot of cocaine at the moment, and some opiates as well. But like I say, anything that you start to lose control of and starts to have control of you starts to become an addiction. So an interesting thing I noticed is there's a term in the addiction community which is relapse. And when you break down what relapse means, it means like you're going back to the start. So I don't like that. I don't like that phrase. Here's an example of why I think it's faulty thinking. Let's say you're like Sir Anthony Hopkins, famous British actor or Welsh actor who played Hannibal. Hello, Jason, how are you? If you just joined us, give me a wave. Say hello. Hello, Michael. Let's say you're like Anthony Hopkins, who was an alcoholic, or so he claimed, about 40 years ago. He went to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. He has not touched a drop of liquor in approximately 40 years. So probably at least half of his life, he must be around about 80 now, he hasn't drank liquor. Now, hypothetically, if Anthony Hopkins were to have a tipple tonight, he wouldn't have relapsed. He wouldn't have lost the last 40 years that he had of not drinking. He would have just lapsed. There was a little crack in the surface, a little bump on the road. He stumbled for a moment, and then if he just continued to live his sober lifestyle from that, it wasn't a relapse. Relapse basically means, again, you went back to the start. He didn't go back in a time machine or a DeLorean to 40 years ago and lost the 40 years of sobriety that he had. No, he just lapsed. And if that lapse of one drink turned into a day, he hasn't relapsed, he just lapsed. It was for a little bit longer. And if that lapse turned into a week, he hasn't relapsed. He's just lapped, but it's a little bit longer. And yes, it is semantics, but language is how we describe our experience. Michael says he agrees. That's beautiful. Michael, you're a very intelligent man, obviously, very insightful. So the language is what we use to describe our experience. So we have to be careful of the language that we use outwardly to describe our experience, and even more careful of the language we use inside of our noggin, inside of our brain, our mind, to describe our experience, because that's how our beliefs are formed, and subsequently that's how our behaviours become formed, i.e. drinking too much, using too much, eating too much, smoking too much. So be very, very careful of that. And if it was up to me, if I had a magic wand and I went like this, I would get rid of that relapse. I've had many experiences of giving up sugar in my life, right? Because sugar had control of me. And then I might have a night where I have a snack that's high in sugar. Now, if I'd gone 2 weeks, a month, a year with essentially not having sugar, in my brain, before I was educated, I thought, oh my God, I've relapsed. I've lost the last year. Oh my God, that 50, 60 pounds I lost, I've just relapsed. Well, no, that's not true. I made one bad decision. And one bad decision needs to be judged as just one bad decision. It was a lapse. It was a stumble. It was a bumpy road. That's not the problem. The problem is like, this is the full thinking I used to have, black and white thinking. Sometimes it can hold you in good stead. Other times it can hold you trapped. Oh my God, I've just had a donut. I've broken my diet. I may as well eat 20 donuts now and 2 frappuccinos and a large pizza because I feel like a piece of hot garbage right now after just doing this one thing. I may as well do a lot of it because I already feel bad. That's where this relapse thinking gets you in trouble. You stumble. We all stumble. And most good addiction protocols out there will have a lapse. They call it relapse. Again, we're changing it, right? They will have a lapse segment in it, which realizes that a high percentage of people will lapse. They will stumble. We are human beings. We are not perfect. So they inbuild that into the system. You've gone a week or two without using your specific drug. You use it for a moment. You lapse. You made an error in that moment. You breathe. It's done now, you can't change it, then you get straight back on the horse or straight back on the truck tomorrow to continue to live your healthy, your sobriety lifestyle, whatever that may be. So black and white thinking can be very useful in very many manners of life. I certainly have used that way of thinking for a long time. But in some ways, when it comes to escaping our addictions and problems, it can keep us trapped. So I'm curious of the people that are watching here tonight, what is your addiction? We all have some. If you care to say, put it in the comments segment below. What's your addiction? Is it TV? Is it the internet? Is it porn? Is it sugar, like mine was? Is it something stronger? Is it opiates? Is it certain forms of medication? Is it negative thinking? Is it toxic relationship? Michael puts alcohol there. Thank you for being brave and honest, Michael. Yeah, I deal with a lot of people that alcohol has been their addiction. And I will tell you, my friend, there certainly is a way out of it. If that is still troubling you and you want to find a way, there is certainly a way out of it. I see it daily with people that I work. It doesn't take you 12 steps and it doesn't take many, many years. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I'm probably going to butcher your name. Sithai, he's put mobile cell phone and overthinking. Yeah, absolutely. I do this as well. I'm guilty of this. And again, not all addictions are built the same, but certainly I'm addicted in many ways to my cell phone and watching updates. Yes, on one level, it's because I have a mobile business. So a lot of my phone, I'm doing updates on my social media or interacting with clients, but then that can bleed into other areas, which is not a good thing. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And again, sorry if I mispronounced your name. C3, overthinking. Yeah, that can be an addiction as well. Stuff like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, having to touch the door. I used to suffer from this as a young man 27 times before I'd enter a room or leave the apartment. It's another form of addiction. Yes, I'm not putting any explicit substance in my body, but the way I'm running my brain and my neurology is a way that's making me suffer and is giving me the experience of being out of control. So again, I want to come back to what this video is called. Did you lapse? Did you relapse? You lapse. You make one mistake. You breathe. You realise you're human. The next decision you make sure it's a better decision. The next hour, you make sure you make better decisions. The next day, you make sure you make better decisions. You be kind to yourself. You realise everybody lapses. See? I nearly relapsed into a lapse right there. Everybody lapses. That's why the best systems in the world for overcoming addiction will have a lapse. They call it relapse. A lapse is what I'm going to call it. Segment in it. And there's a reason for that, because most people will lapse. But you don't go back all the way to the beginning and shit all over all the hard work you've done up to that point. Just treat it as one, and one only bad decision. Now that bad decision turns into 2, turns into a day, turns into a week, a month, a year. Yes, you need to reevaluate your thinking and your priority. But if it's a momentary detour, you've lapsed. Breathe, realise you're human, step number 2, and be kind to yourself. Step number 3, and step number 4, chart a different course. Have kindness on yourself. Doesn't mean that you're basically giving yourself permission to do things that hurt you. Just means you be kind to yourself. Because if beating yourself up worked, then none of us would be fat, none of us would be addicted to anything. We'd all have our perfect job, our perfect car, our perfect home, our perfect partner, and our environment, our brain would be a happy, healthy environment all the time. However, how's that working out for you, as I say to my clients? Not so well. So if beating yourself up worked, then we'd all be happy and successful. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work that well. Michael says 21 years sober, then lapse. Yeah, exactly. So there you go, Michael. I'd be curious if you'd be comfortable in writing how long that lapse lasts for. I'm imagining the lapse was not 21 years. So you had 21 years of great success in doing what you're doing. You had a momentary lapse. Hopefully you put that down below so I can see. Again, if you're comfortable with it. And then I'm imagining that you went back on your way of sobriety, if that indeed was your choice. Anyways, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, put your addiction underneath. If you lapsed, put how long you lapsed for and how long you were on the correct path for you. If you're watching it on a replay, do that as well. And if you're watching this on Facebook, hi, I'm speaking to you too. I'd be curious, I'd be interested in what your specific addiction was, be that an illicit substance you were putting in or something that was going on in your neurology and brain. I'd be interested in knowing. So go easy on yourself, chart a different course. Remember, it's a lapse, not a relapse. It's only a relapse if you go all the way back to the start and you just shit, excuse my language, on all the good work you did. Meaning Anthony Hopkins, 40 years clean, then he had 41 years of using his drug as well, or alcohol at that point, which I don't think he'd be alive, because that would make him about 121, because he's about 80 now if he did 41 years. So it'd basically be impossible for him to relapse, but he could lapse. So think of it, changing, relapse, bad, doesn't necessarily help you, keeps you trapped, black and white thinking. Lapse, that was relapse. Lapse, you made a temporary bad judgment, make a different judgment, be kind on yourself, realise it was just one decision, chart a different course, go forward. Any comments about this, any questions, please put it in the comments below and I will endeavour to answer those questions. But yeah, more and more of these videos are going to centre around addiction going forward on many different levels, digging deeper into addiction. So that's it for tonight. Always believe.